Hi everybody. All right, hopefully by now you have taken the online quiz for our Unit 8 quiz number 2. That grade will be the last grade of the third marking period. Also, if you have any late work to turn in, you can still do so. Just finish it, snap a picture of it front and back, email it to me, and I'll get it in for you so I can update your grade. Our next unit is Unit 9, which is similar triangles. And I picked out some topics on that computer program called Edgenuity in order to get us through that unit. However, I felt that they just jumped into it a little too quickly. So I just want to have a few sections of notes where we do this on the video to just make sure we're okay with the background work needed to understand the actual unit, okay? This whole contraption here is called an overhead projector. It was a major thing in the late 80s, 90s, okay? And I have one, so that's what we're gonna do, okay? So this paper, by the way, with all these examples I'm about to do is on the Google Classroom. If you could download and print it out to write down the notes, awesome. If not, then go ahead and just take out a blank piece of notebook paper. Either way, I would definitely take down some notes because you will be able to obviously use these notes along with any other notes you have when you go through Edgenuity to take any assessments through that, okay? So our first problem here is all about proportion. So this whole unit is going to require that we write proportions to solve for things rather than just writing regular equations. I know we've been through this before, so we're not going to get too technical with all the y's and everything. But what you should know at this point is that to solve a proportion, you would want to cross multiply. So if I look at a problem like this one on number 1, if I wanted to solve this, I would simply take the m and the 4, because they're on the same diagonal, and I would multiply them, and that gives me 4m. I would take the 2 and the 5. They're on the same diagonal, multiply that, I get 10, and then that becomes the equation that I need to solve. 4m equals 10. Now, yes, if you notice when you divide by 4, this is going to be a decimal. I'm just going to warn you that several times you may get a decimal because it's really hard to make pretty problems with these. Whether you want to just reduce that and say it's 5 halves, or you want to graph a calculator and tell me it's 2.5, doesn't matter to me. But the whole point is that if you did take that answer and you plugged it back in for m and divided this and this, you'd get the same decimal. Or if you plug the 2.5 in and then cross multiplied once again, you would get the same number on either side. And that's really the whole point of why we cross multiply. So if you cross, take a look at this one right here. This should be number 2 on our worksheet. Now we're going to do the same exact thing. Whatever's in the bottom on the left gets multiplied to the top one on the right. So that's going to give us a 70. Now over here, notice that this is an entire binomial. So what you have to remember is that this 5 will get multiplied to this entire expression. So I'm actually going to write that out separately just so we can see that it's 5 times the quantity of m minus 3. So if you remember with our equation solving, we're going to have to distribute that first. So 5 times m is 5m. 5 times what's technically a negative 3 is minus 15. And of course, we still have that 70. And then again, we're just going to solve it like a regular equation. So we're going to go ahead and add the 15. So we have numbers on one side, letters on the other. That's going to give us an 85 equals 5m. Divide by 5. I hope you guys all have your calculators. Let's see, 5 goes to 8 once with 3 left over. So it looks like it's going to be 17. Once again, if you plug the 17 back into here, 17 minus 3 is 14. Some of you guys might be already kind of be able to tell why those fractions are the same. But if not, guys, you could just divide them out. You get the same decimal. Or if you cross multiply, you get the same product on both. So those are the two proportions that usually most people have been exposed to. Okay, I gave you 2 more though that were kind of similar for extra practice before we get to the super hard ones. So guys, this is up to you. If at this point you want to like pause the video, try these two on your own first. Okay, here's number 3 and then number 4, and then restart the video to see if you got them right. That's completely up to you. I'll take a 5-second pause for you to make that decision. Oops, dropped a marker, no problem, I got more. All right, I'm gonna get started, guys. Again, we're gonna cross multiply. So whatever's on the bottom of one will get multiplied to the top of the other. So that's gonna be 1 times the quantity, 2, 1 plus 5. And then on the other side, we've got the 9y and the 3. Remember, that's just 3 times 9, which is 27. And then, of course, we still have the y. We are going to distribute, although really, when you just multiply by 1, well, that's just itself. So 2y plus 5 equals 27y. Minus 2y this time, because again, we want to get all the letters to one side, numbers to the other. We get 5 equals 25y. Divide by 25, since that's the coefficient of y. You can divide that out to get your decimal, or you can reduce it. It's just 1/5. Or again, if you want to find the decimal of 0.2, that's completely up to you. We are trying to give you nice and pretty numbers though, okay? And I believe Edgenuity does the same, but I will warn you, you're gonna see decimals, okay? Only thing crazy, I guess, with number 4 is sort of the same thing as number 3. You are gonna end up getting variables on both sides, and that's okay. We've done problems like that before. Again, if you want to pause and get started first and then just double check your answer at the end, that's up to you. Again, the process is exactly what we've been doing, okay? Just remember that since you have that entire quantity of 6x minus 5, you have to make sure that 4 is going to end up getting distributed, just like the 2 and the x plus 4. That's probably the most common mistake that we tend to see, is people forgetting that you're multiplying to that entire binomial and not just one piece. So 4 will get distributed and give you 24x minus 20. The 2 will get distributed, give you 2x plus 8. Now at this point, it's up to you what you want to do. You can move your letters to the left, numbers to the right. You can move numbers to the left, letters to the right. I'm just going to draw that little yellow line through the middle to make sure that we remember that we always have to have something written on both sides. So let's say I choose to subtract 2x and move it over here to the left, giving me 22x. Still have the minus 20. That crosses out. Still have the 8 from over here. At this point, make sure I'm doing the opposite with the numbers. So since I moved my letters to the left, my numbers have to go to the right. So we got 22x equals 28. Ugh. Divide by 22. All right, now I said they should be pretty, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this one is. I'm thinking I can divide both by 2 and give me 14 over 11. I think that's the best I can do. I'm sorry, guys. Yuck. Ugh. You shouldn't have ones like that on Edgenuity or, of course, on our quiz, but life is not perfect. Sometimes it happens, okay? But the main thing is everybody okay with the algebra, okay? And if not, these are the things you need to make sure you shoot us a text through Remind or to send us an email about, okay? Now, this is the thing with Edgenuity. They like to up the game a little bit, okay? They like to show you guys some stuff that you could possibly see on SATs, the NJ Slam, Park, that kind of thing. So they went a little extra and they give you problems like these, okay? Now they look really crazy, but I'm gonna tell you guys, it's gonna actually be super simple. But if you haven't written down anything up until this point, I would go ahead and make sure you write this down now, because this is definitely different algebra than we've been doing so far this year. But again, nothing new from Algebra 1, which we all had. So again, we're going to go ahead and multiply on the diagonal. We're going to cross multiply. So that's going to be x times x plus 3. That's going to be on the left. And then, of course, we have on this right side. Now notice, guys, we've got x plus 6 times x minus 1. So we end up having a binomial times a binomial on the right. Looks a little scary. That's all right. All right, let's start with the left, though. When we distribute, an x times an x is an x squared. Make sure you remember that from Algebra 1. X times 3 is a positive 3x. So the only thing different there that we have not usually incorporated into our problems is that x times x is x squared. Over here, how many people remember the famous FOIL? Okay, all FOIL stood for was first, meaning let's multiply the first pieces. O for outer, let's multiply the outer pieces. So notice the first two letters of this really are just saying, let's take this first term and ignore the fact that there's a 6 there and distribute it to the x minus 1. And we know we can do that because we already did that over here. So if we did x times that quantity of x minus 1, that'll give us x squared minus 1x. Now the next part of this is this IL of the FOIL. Well, that just means, well, now let's multiply the inner pieces and the last, which really, guys, is just taking that 6, pretending there was no x here, and just distributing a 6, which we definitely know how to do that. 6x minus 6. So in the end, when you multiply those two binomials, we have x squared minus 1x plus 6x minus 6. At this point, we know that these two are like terms, so that's a negative 1x and a positive 6x. That will give us a positive 5x. X squared will just bring down, same with the 6. None of those are like terms, so we're not going to bother with trying to combine any of those. And I'll bring down everything we have on this other side as well. So now, I know that looks super scary, but this is what I'm telling you about how it's going to be easy. What they've done with these problems is the ones in Edgenuity, guys, if you do have an x squared, it's going to be the same exact thing on both sides. So if you really did think about taking it from one side and moving it to the other, they're both going to cross out. So as soon as you get those x squares and you finish all that distribution, just cross out the x squares and bring down everything that's not. And that's going to be this right here. And then it's nothing more than one of the problems from the other examples where we move our letters to one side, numbers to the other side. So at this point, we've got negative 2x negative 2x equals negative 6. Divide by negative 2. And we're here with x equals 3. Okay, can everybody see all of that? I know it seems like a lot of work, guys, but it really is the type of algebra that we should be trying to incorporate now that we're nearing the end of the year. And yes, I did just say nearing the end of the year. I know, I can't believe it either. All right, number 6 is going to be super similar. So again, guys, if you want to try on your own first, go ahead. I'm just going to scoot this over now. All right, we're going to tack number 6, and then we'll be ready, guys. So again, we're going to go ahead and do our cross multiplying. In the process, we're going to notice that we have binomials times binomials. So we'll have x plus 1, and then he'll be multiplied to x plus 4. Keep them in parentheses. That'll remind you that there's going to be some foiling happening. And then over here, I'm running off the page, but it's all right. That's why we love these projectors. I'll just write right on top of the glass. X minus 2 times x plus 5. And that's got an equal sign in between it. So the purpose of the cross multiplying is so that you don't have to even worry about the fraction anymore. Now we're going to distribute. Remember what I said, take the first guy and distribute him. So that'll give us x squared plus 4x. Take the second guy, distribute him. That'll give you 1x plus 4. Over here, I'm going to do the same thing. Take that first guy and distribute. That'll give us x squared plus 5x. Middle guy and distribute. Don't forget he is technically a negative 2. So that's going to give us negative 2x minus 10. I'm definitely on the glass here. Hope everybody can still see. Combine those x terms. That's going to give us an x squared plus 5x plus 4. Over here, x squared plus 3x minus 10. Remember what I said about the other one, okay? Edgenuity's not trying to trick you, neither are we. You're going to have a positive x squared on one side and a positive x squared on the other side. They are going to cross out. At this point, I'll just rewrite what you have so it's clear. We've got 5x plus 4 equals 3x minus 10. Let's move our letters to one side. I always try to keep my x's positive if I can, so that's why I'm opting to move it to the left. And then, can everybody see that? I'm gonna bump it up. Minus 4 over to the right. So we get 2x equals negative 14. And x equals negative 7. All right, so that's what we've gotten all together here. Okay, if anything is off or you can't tell what something is, you're not understanding, please make sure you shoot us a message through the Remind app, okay? Or through Google Classroom, guys, or through our emails, okay? Again, this was just to give you a heads up about the type of algebra you were going to be required to do. The next set of notes that I upload for the next class, guys, will be a little bit of background on just similar figures overall, okay? So that way when you do go into Edgenuity, you're going to be fine with the types of stuff they're going to be telling you, okay? All right, I hope this worked, guys. Give me any feedback you can, okay? I'm now going to do that awkward cross in front of the camera thing so I can turn it off. Have a great day, guys, and keep in touch, all right? Stay safe.